You told that story beautifully.
Thank you. It's
And you know it's going to help so many people. And we're really sorry that your boy got hurt.
He's getting better.
He's beautiful. All your children are.
Thank you. They're tired. They're ready to go
This
home.
is what brothers normally do. They
Non-stop.
jump all over each
Non-stop.
other.
Can you sit up?
Thank you.
Thank
you
you
so
for
much.
hearing
Now,
our
have
story.
You, have you signed the bus?
Yes, we signed the bus. Did you sign the bus? Did you see your name?
Yes, we did.
And what number are you?
7.
You're 4234.
42434.
4234.
4234.
I remember the first time he was able to follow a set of directions. And that was pretty incredible. Like, my husband and I started like almost crying because we couldn't believe that he followed a set of directions to go get this and do this. Why don't you, since you're not up to date on any of your vaccines, you get all 60 plus vaccines that you're, that you don't have, that you wouldn't have even gotten when you were younger, and then we'll see how you do and how you feel, and then we'll think about it for them. So the message I want to send to people is don't do things out of fear and follow your gut, but also think about when your kids started getting sick. What was the point that things started happening? And do you think that it's normal that over 50% of kids have some kind of autoimmune diseases? Nobody ever asked us before he was vaccinating, do we have autoimmune issues? My sister has celiac disease. I have really bad allergies. My dad has asthma. He should never have been vaccinated, and I wish I would have followed my gut.
Are these two vaccinated?
No, not at all. We call him our hero. He saved his brothers because I knew better, and I knew to follow my gut. At that point, so these two haven't been, and I think that almost is what makes it even harder. You kind of resolve to your kids' abilities. You resolve to your kids' abilities, and you love them and accept them for who they are. But when you see their siblings so much more advanced than them, so much earlier on, even in comparison to now, the way they think things through and the way they're able to answer questions, it really kills you. I know you want to, I know.
What does he want?
Titi. Titi is how we say he wants to nurse. He wants me to nurse him. He was also full-term nursing, so I feel like that helped him a lot too. So, I mean, all we can do is our best, and when we know better, we do better. My name is Renee Genshu. These are my 3 boys, and my oldest was vaccinated at about 8 months.
And that's this boy here?
Yes, this is Alexander.
Hi, Alexander.
Hi.
How are you?
Great.
How old are you?
8 years old.
You're 8 years old. And is that your outfit for Halloween?
Yeah.
Show me what you are, because I'm not very clever.
Oh.
Sure, your mask.
Oh, this mask. Oh, stop. Oh, I know what I am. I'm Darth Vader for Halloween.
Ah,
Yeah.
Nice.
yeah, that is good. Josh would be really excited if he was here to see that. Right, so let's hear the story.
Well, his vaccine injury occurred when he was 8 months old, but I think it started a little earlier than that. When he was first born, he was born with a tiny, minute fever, and I had been given the strep B antibiotics, and I had been given Pitocin, and then I gave into an epidural because I have back labor and I just couldn't take it, and I thought to myself, epidural or C-section. So I did that, and when he was born with a tiny fever, and the hospital went out into all-out liability mode and basically wished him away from us. My husband went with him, and they started doing all these different diagnostic tests. He had spinal taps done and urine catheters and so many different things. Nothing was ever wrong with him. After about 25 minutes, his temperature went down, and nothing was ever wrong, but because he had the temperature, they wanted to run every diagnostic test. They told us at one point that he had galactosemia, and we were calling family in Europe trying to figure out if there was any kind of genetic things that we didn't know about, and there was nothing. And so we were in the hospital for a week with him, and he was getting antibiotics, intravenous antibiotics, and I didn't want to be in the hospital in the first place. Wanted to have a home birth, but went on fear and decided to go to hospital. So we didn't vaccinate him in the hospital because I had felt in my gut that we need to wait, but I was scared. So
Why were you scared?
Because I had already been researching, and throughout my life I had been sick, and I believe I was vaccine injured when I was 3 years old. Suddenly started having severe allergies after getting vaccinated. like severe allergies where my face would blow up, I couldn't breathe, I would have rashes all over. The doctors told my mom that I was allergic to my own histamines. I'm not even sure exactly what that means. But I already known about T-bodies and things like that, so I was already aware of possible vaccines being linked to autoimmune issues and things like that. So I was apprehensive, but I was scared. And so I continued on the vaccination path because I was scared, but decided to go with Dr. Sears' alternate schedule. But you can't follow the Dr. Sears alternate schedule because the doctor doesn't always have the same shots available, the same brands. So I kind of just picked and chose which vaccines I wanted to get for my son. And instead of going every other month, we would go every month, and he would get less vaccines, but he would get them more spread out. I had nurses telling me, oh, well, your mom didn't have the internet to look at. I said, yeah, but if she had, she would have researched it. So they were giving me a hard time about it, but they went along with it. And then at 8 months, when he got his shots, he got the Hib, he got polio, he got rotavirus and DTaP. He started screaming and crying really, really bad. Like, it scared me.
The DTaP scream. This is what we're becoming to
I'm like,
realise.
I hate talking about it because I get emotional. So he started screaming.
Perfectly normal.
I know.
Emotional.
But you feel guilty, especially when you already had it in your gut that something could go wrong, and then it does go wrong. You're like, God, why didn't I just listen to my gut? Why did I let fear rule? And that's what I tell people now. Make the decision you want to make, but don't do it based on fear. Do it because you feel confident in the decision you're making. And I didn't feel confident, ever. So he started screaming really, really badly. He was not feeling well. He started getting a little fever. And he went to sleep for hours. Like, it was like 12, 13 hours he went to sleep. And then he woke up and he was screaming again. And he didn't sleep like that. That wasn't something that was normal. He was screaming again, and then he fell asleep again for a long time. After that, he woke up, and he had already been making little words and things like that. He had said, like, the word, we were shocked before he had the vaccine, he said, bravo. And we were like, wow, that's kind of a difficult word for a baby to say, that kind of a word. And then after that, he stopped really talking the way he was talking, babbling the way he was babbling, and pretty much he started, when he did start trying to talk, it was a lot of scripted type of talking. He had a lot of vocal stims that he would do. We have a video of him when he was 18 months old, and we thought it was so cute at the time. My sister was juggling, and we were trying to get his attention, and he looked at her, and he mimicked what she was doing with his hands, and then he just turned around and would stare at the fan, and then he just was in his own little world, and we kept trying to get his attention, and that was another thing. He wouldn't respond to his name anymore after that. When we would say, Alexander, 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 and he wouldn't respond to his name. And a mom knows something's up. And as he started getting more to an age where he should be talking more, you have family members that start saying, well, this aunt didn't start talking until she was 4, and this person didn't start doing this until they were this age. But you know when something's up, when something's not the way it's supposed to be. But again, from a point of maybe pride, you don't want to admit that there's something wrong. No, there's nothing wrong. But as he got older and seeing him compared to his peers and just the way he socialized differently, he was more interested in his own little world. He wasn't interacting the same way with other kids. He wasn't speaking the way other kids were speaking. He didn't want to do the activities that other kids were doing. He couldn't follow along with directions the way other kids were doing. Even singing a song or any kind of like little circle games, he didn't want to do any of that. I couldn't get him to do any of that. I couldn't get him interested in doing any of that. And when he was 3 years old, we signed him up for preschool, and he really wasn't speaking. He loved music, though. His musicality is incredible, and he could repeat a tune to you. I mean, really hard stuff, like the Darth Vader theme song. Even when he was really little, he would be able to repeat it like perfectly, the notes perfectly. So he liked singing, but we put him into preschool at 3 years old, and it was like a crunchy preschool. But he couldn't follow the directions, and he wasn't responding, and he wasn't speaking the way the other kids were speaking. And at one point they had a grandparents' day, and they had been learning songs, and I had been trying to make a dialogue with the teacher so that I could help him at home to try to learn these songs. And when they were practicing for the grandparents' day, he just wanted to sit under the table. He didn't want to be by the other kids. So basically when I went to talk to the teacher, she had me talk to the principal, and they both kind of told me, well, maybe he should stay home for Grandparents' Day. I said, well, is he disrupting everybody? No, he's just not participating. Well, his grandparents want to be there, so we pulled him out. Actually,
that's so mean.
And it went like that because he was missing his skill set, and people that were missing the skill sets as part of their job, when they missed those skill sets, they were blaming him for the skill sets he was missing. So they did that, and then about a week or two later, I went in to talk to the teacher again, and I was kind of hiding behind the door because I didn't want him to see me so that he would get more distracted from what was going on. I wanted to see what was going on, and I was kind of watching. And as the teacher pulled him out of they were walking out of the room with the kids, there was a big porch in front of the building. Another little boy started taking his book bag away, and he pulled it away from the little boy, and the teacher yelled at him for it. And I said, wait a second, he didn't do anything. The other kid was doing it, but he already was getting this rap for being naughty or not listening or not wanting to participate the way the other kids were participating. And that was my kid. He was very sweet. Like, somebody would knock into him and he wouldn't do anything in retaliation. So we pulled him out. I said, okay, he's 3 years old. We'll try again in fourth grade, or when he's 4 years old. So again, we tried when he was 4 years old. Still, he wasn't really talking. Couldn't really socialize with his peers the right way. So when he got to preschool, and when he was 4 years old, he tried becoming more physical with the kids to get their attention, to try to play with them. And so then that was construed, can you please get down, as being more aggressive. And just his kind of social awkwardness, when he would talk to people, he would get in their face, like really close. So the teacher started giving him timeouts. She would give him timeouts for not wanting to color with more than one color, or for playing with a little piece of something.
So he was being punished for the injuries that he had. That's horrific.
Yeah.
And sadly, that's very common.
Yeah, it really was frustrating. When he was in the 3-year preschool, when I had seen with the book bag, I had gone in to talk to the teacher, I forgot to mention this, and he said, Mama, cupcake, because he was saying like 2-word sentences, and they were babbled, so not everybody would understand what he was saying. And I said, no, you already had a cupcake. And the teacher said, oh, he didn't have a cupcake. He was throwing rocks in the pond with his friend, and he wouldn't stop throwing rocks in the pond. And I said, so 45 minutes later, after the fact, you wouldn't give him a cupcake with the rest of his class? Because by the time they got in from the pond, by the time they sat down, by the time they washed their hands, they did all that, it would have been 30 to 45 minutes. So they were punishing a 3-4-year-old for something that much later. So at that point in his 4-year preschool, I contacted the district, because we were at the Park District at that point, but I contacted the school district, and I didn't know that there was a preschool for the school district, and they said, well, we can come in and check on him to see how he's doing, to evaluate him in his preschool at the Park District. The Park District said, no, that's a liability, even though these were vetted people from the school district. So when I told the Park District that I was moving him to the school district preschool, that I had gotten him a spot at the school district preschool, they told me that he was a threat to his classmates, that they didn't want him back at his Halloween party, when he hadn't done anything. Before that, they had been telling me, how can we help him? No, it's spicy. You can't have that. It's spicy. So fast forward, at that point, we had him evaluated, and when they're that little, they do more of like learning disability, or not learning, developmental delays. That is, he wasn't speaking, wasn't able to stay focused, but he was put into a co-teach program where he had a special ed teacher and a gen ed teacher. And just having the special ed teacher started to help him be able to communicate better. She would use cards to help him communicate. This is at 4 years old. Cards with pictures on it, how he's feeling, what he needs. And he started to slowly get a few more words. After that, we started recovering him with diet, and that made a drastic improvement to his speech and focus, but he wasn't able to focus. In first grade, about halfway through first grade, we started chelating him, and since we started chelating him, because I had heavy metal testing done on him, we found out he has mercury and aluminum toxicity. And everybody asked me, well, where did he get that? I said, well, there's really only 2 places he could have.
Pretty much all of our kids are sky high in aluminium or aluminum, whatever you want to call it.
So we started chelating him. Within a week, I saw a drastic improvement in him. within 2 weeks, the rest of our family was seeing drastic improvement, and within 3 weeks, his teacher was, oh, he's socializing so much better and interacting with the kids and listening so much better. So he's in 2nd grade now, and we're still working on it, but I want people to know that it's not just autism that kids are getting injured. It's ADHD, inattentiveness, it's allergies. He has really bad allergies that he never had until he was vaccine injured. I didn't see anything early on, and now he's got different food allergies. I know. I have, you see diabetes in kids.
Hey.
There's no hitting, please. No hitting, please.
I love your breath.
There's signs on every single door in every single classroom at his school, peanut allergies. There's kids that have egg allergies. This is not something that existed 20, 30, 40 years ago. You didn't see this. You might have one kid in a classroom that had issues. You guys are going to take that.
It's fine.
And now it's everybody. And I'm not worried about him in the future. I know we're going to keep marching on to recovery. I know he'll be fine. He'll live a fulfilled, good life. He's super smart. He's very loving. He's charismatic. But everything that he's had to endure until this point, everything that our family has had to endure, the stress, the frustration, the arguing.
Come, I want to sit next to you. I want to show you how many people love you.
Look how many
Do you
people
want to see how many people love you? Do you see all those hearts that are going up there?
Yes.
Those are for you.
Oh.
They're only for you. Look at them all. All of them.
Oh. That's great.
Because they love you.
Oh.
Very, 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 very much. Someone wrote love you there.
Who did?
I can't see because my eyes aren't very good. But I do know someone said they love you. And I know that all these people and all those hearts are because you're their hero. You're their Darth hero.
Okay. I am the leader.
Ah! You're the leader. You will lead us all into battle.
And I'm the leader too.
Yes,
I
I can see that.
And their names are Erica and Adriana. And Maddie and Alex, the one to be our friends. Dominic, and May and Alex, and Dominic and Patrick. So Maddie and Adriana and Erica. Alexa and Yvonne, Gabby. So that's my crew.
I'm Patrick and Dominic.
Wonderful.
Right now, you see the social aspect of it playing in more. Kids, when they're younger, they don't notice that. But now that he's in 2nd grade, other kids notice that he's a little quirky. They wouldn't say quirky or socially awkward, but they know something's a little bit different. And I'm glad that we're being more accepting and talking about bullying and things like that. But it shouldn't even be something that kids should have to be bullied. They shouldn't have to have had a part of them taken away that now is accepted, and that we're dealing with it by just accepting the fact that all these kids have something about them that isn't typical. So I'm happy that I want people to talk to their kids about it, that, be kind and be understanding and try to, as much as you can ask a 1st or 2nd grader to be kind and patient, but that all kids want to have friends and all kids want to be accepted and all kids want to play. So
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for listening to us.
Oh, no, you're kidding. You told that story so well. Thank you so much. And you must always remember how many hearts you got.
A lot of 100.
He got so many, your bruv.
My brother.